freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 319 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearmsauctions.com, your premier auction house where you set the price for firearms, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is Bullets and Bombshells UK, and our guest is Gerald Bailey. Gerald is the organizer of Bullets and Bombshells UK. He was born in Rhodesia, grew up in South Africa, and now lives in the UK. He is an elite Navy diver serving in the teams in reserves forces of the UK. Gerald is a nature conservation officer running a game reserve and nature reserves, and is a qualified firearms instructor as well as a combative red dot pistol instructor. He has published 7 politically incorrect self-defense related ebooks and is a firm believer in the international right to self-defense. And here in the US, Gerald runs firearms related classes through
Covenant
Tactical Bases in Texas. I'm sorry, it's Monday.
No worries. Welcome to the show from all the way across the pond, Gerald.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Dan, just one correction. It's not the UK military. It's the South African Navy.
Oh, South Africa. Okay.
Okay, that's my fault. I wrote that wrong. But thank you for clarifying that.
And forgetting about the other 15 errors I did. Thank you very much, Cheryl.
That's awesome. So one of the things that, always comes up when you talk to people who live in other parts of the planet is, the different laws. So even here in the United States, different states have different laws, especially as they relate to firearms. But here in the United States, guns are a little bit, kind of just ingrained in how we were born, so ingrained in our culture. Born as a nation, I should say, but you grew up in places where maybe guns aren't quite that acceptable or culturally acceptable, maybe. So kind of walk us through that journey, and how did you become this person who is training, and you're a nature conservationist who goes hunting, and talk to us about all of that. Educate us Americans who only know what's going on, 3 blocks away from us.
Sure. You've back in the day in Rhodesia, obviously, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I can adjust Zoom so I look like I'm in my 20s.
I know you're lit well, so you could easily pass.
Sure. In Rhodesia back in the day, it was fairly freely available firearms. You would have an FN FAL R1, in a family, because protection against the terrorists was just imperative. If you wanted to live, that's what you did. In South Africa, growing up in South Africa in the 70s, 80s, firearms, you had to have a competency to show that you were competent, and you would apply for a license, and within 2 weeks you have a license disc for a specific firearm with a serial number. There was nothing major about it. Self-defense was an acceptable reason to own a firearm. Obviously, we were under terrorist attack there. And it's actually only, around about now, in South Africa, self-defense has always been a reason to own a firearm. If you wanted to own more firearms or multiple firearms, what one would do is to join a sporting body and get your dedicated status, which means you shoot a certain amount of matches per year. And then you could literally own semi-automatic AKs, AR-15s. It's no problem in quite a variety of calibers. I know in South Africa, when I was there, you could own a 50 cal. It's not a big deal. You just got to afford to feed her. That's all.
Yes.
If you could get a special license for a fully automatic weapon, that would be, you'd have to be, on the border of a neighboring country. I don't know if that changed since I last looked at it, or if it's changed now. I know now because I can say this now, the communist hammer is coming down very hard. Those who are protected by armed people have now come out and said in South Africa that you cannot own a firearm or apply for a firearm license under self-defense, which is, it's just insanity. Well, it's not insanity, it's a plan. But anyway.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And, so that they're trying to do that here in the United States, and they're using all kinds of cute little fancy, feel good words
For the children.
Yeah, it's to keep the children
yeah.
safe. Well, that's why I do own a firearm, is to keep my
Well,
children
sure,
safe.
yeah. And Dan, that's actually a very good point. It's for the children. That's why one of my ebooks is how to train your children in the safe use of firearms. And there, I just slap everybody around. And most of all, I tackle because I'd seen it on the range so often, is you've got the egotistical male coming up, and he's got his Friday night beer belly out, and he's got his young little 5-year-old, and he whips out a 357 Magnum, and to show off in front of his friends, he lets his little 5-year-old shoot this hand cannon, and watch him flinch and laugh and stuff like that. So I slap them around, and then I also tackle the people who oh no, we don't want to have anything to do with guns or anything like that. And my thing is, if you are not training them as a responsible adult, you've got Hollywood, you've got the computer games, and some politicians with photographs with shotguns teaching them. There's a picture in my book. And with that, with the computer games and with Hollywood, it's you finger on the trigger, point, and there's no consequences. Don't take responsibility. All my boys, which I've been called immoral for in this country, but all 3 of my little warriors, before the age of 3, they were shooting 22 pistol and 22 MP5.
Safely, under supervision.
Precisely, yeah.
Empowering them with knowledge and training, and that's immoral? Okay.
Well, Gerald,
right.
way back BC, before Cheryl, I had a gun shop, and I was probably one of the most stupid persons on the planet, because when we took people that never shot a gun before, we always gave them the biggest stuff first.
Yeah.
And, watch what happens.
Yeah.
Now,
I've learned
that to get people to be responsible and to really respect guns, you start with the baby steps and you work your way up.
Sure.
And same with that 5-year-old, because in the United States, we're seeing where people in teenage age that have saved families from home invasions or robberies or burglary, just all kinds of stuff. And that is on the parent, and the parent is to teach the kids responsibly. Kids can watch video games without turning into what they're doing, what's going on right now. You're responsible with your kids from day one, and they'll learn to be responsible citizens.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what needs to be done, and we're not doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I follow what goes on in the United States quite closely. And you know what, as the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. We've got absentee parents, and they're leaving their children in front of TV for most of the day. And I'm not a prude, but what's on TV now and what happens in Hollywood, they can't even hold a marriage down for over a year.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to lecture me on how to bring up my children.
Yeah.
I just gotta no. Hell no.
Not even
it's
if they
complete sentence is what I like to say.
And it's not like the marriage for a year. They dramatize on how cool it is that they were only married a year. They make it a good thing. And And that's the thing. And we think about all these people are just sitting at home watching CNN and all that stuff. But anyway,
That's a whole
CNN.
different story.
I don't know her. Sorry, CNN.
it's a Cartoon Network.
Oh, there. That. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
But anyway, you're right. And the TV, we had TVs when we were kids, but we didn't even want to be in front of the TV all day.
Yeah, sure.
We wanted to get out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I grew up on MacGyver, the original MacGyver, the A-Team, and we got up to a little bit of mischief, but nobody's dead. I've still got all my fingers, and we're smiling.
Exactly. I love it. And I do love that you called your sons your young warriors. I just think that's amazing. And if they grow up thinking of themselves in that way, but tempered with responsibilities and the education that comes along with that, that's brilliant. And I congratulate you on that.
Well, thank you so much.
One of the things, there are certain universal languages. A smile is a smile everywhere you go, as far as I know, right? A laugh is a laugh everywhere you go. Firearms training, is that a universal language? I believe it is, but you're more deeply steeped in that than I am. Is, pointing, every gun is always loaded. That I think everybody probably teaches that, right? You think of it as though it's loaded.
No.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to, don't point it in the direction of anything you're not willing to destroy. Like, are those universal things or no?
Yes and no. Okay. Yes and no. I tend to just deviate slightly on that because I teach reality-based, gunfighting, knife fighting, all that sort of stuff. It's, if I locked a slide back in front of you, magazines out, and I go, okay, Cheryl, check this. And I handed you that empty locked slide, Glock. Mm-hmm. And you went, oh, and let me check, and put my finger down. It's kind of like, well, that's a bit of a moot point. Unless it's verified in front of you and you've verified it, treat it as a loaded firearm, but you don't go and recheck things. Okay. You handle a firearm responsibly. So I'm going to be, as far as possible, wary of where it is pointing, because we're not going to be 100% all the time. Okay, hold it up. What's this new temple carry? It's like it's not a phone. But anyway, so a plane flies over. Well, I've just covered 200 people. Point it down at 45. Well, bullets ricochet. They go along the ground. They do funny things. Mm-hmm. So be responsible and be wary of where your barrel is pointing. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'd take my boys to the shooting range, on the short drive in South Africa, I would be going through, okay, what are the firearm commandments? It's like, always know what's behind your intended target. Mm-hmm. Well, in a stressful situation, trust me, you don't know what's behind, that target. You just, the bad guy, I need to deal with it, get off the line, do X, Y, Z. So having that commandment, it can delay people, I feel, but I think what I teach is, as far as possible, be aware of what is behind your intended target. So if I'm on a shooting range and it's a static range, well, okay, I know there's a berm there, there's a tree there, X, Y, Z. But in a reality-based situation, I'm off the line. I'm round vehicles. I'm putting 3, 4, 5 vehicles in between me and the bad guy. So. Yes, you do have to temper it for your different classes. I'm a huge proponent of essential foundations. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the things that's lacking nowadays. Everybody wants to do the Gucci woke stuff, and as Abner Miranda calls it, entertainment. You come to a class and you get entertained. So I'm come back all dirty and I'm tired, but you haven't learned anything that you can actually transfer into your skill sets that could save your life or somebody else's life.
I love that entertainment. And I love that you're I think challenging your students to, engage their brains and not just kind of like check out and go, okay, so check this, check that, It's like, be in the moment, because that is so important. Be in the moment, and that exact moment that you're in might be different than the next moment that you're in.
Yeah.
So that reality based, I think, is so important. And then also, laws are not universal. And so the consequences of not maybe knowing what is behind your target and what could possibly happen to you and your life if you have a a stray round or a negligent discharge or something like that. We aren't trainers, but we been trained and try to tell people you are responsible for every single projectile that comes out of the end of that gun.
Yes, in Arizona, you can be charged for negligent discharge.
Absolutely.
You can be charged with that just like any other crime. So it's very important. And I'm kind of mixed feeling on when you first started your conversation about how to check a gun. When you have new people that are getting involved in firearms, it seems to me that every time that gun passes a hand, it should be checked because I'm talking about new people that are just learning how, because they're a discharge is not reversible. There's nothing if you accidentally shoot somebody or something, you can't fix that.
Or yourself.
Right.
I try and avoid that. Well, actually, that's a good point. But what I generally do is with a person who is, where does it actually come out of, and what's this whole? It breaks, it's broken. They've got the magazine and the gun. Is I start off with airsoft. It is a fantastic tool to teach. I used to. I'd love anti-gunners coming to my office. I actually had 2 of them, and I'm quite proud to say that both of them walked away saying, I want to attend one of your classes. Awesome. Because I took an airsoft pistol. I was like, all right, here we go. And I used to, each person is different. You've got to take each person as they are. They might have an inherent fear. They might have been held up. And, I had a friend in South Africa. She was held up. So she was like, I just don't want to touch guns. I don't want to see them. And that's that. She had a negative response. It was like, okay, here's airsoft. Can you see this? And you take them at baby steps and you build them up over a month or 2. It's you never rush it. So, making blanket statements, it's a law enforcement officer or something like that. But I love teaching absolute newbies on their first day. It's a privilege. It really is.
And what honor, what great, if you could teach everybody on this earth firearm safety, even if they don't want to carry a gun, then what would that do? Even though it's just like having a pool in your backyard. You teach your kids to swim. What about the neighbors that doesn't have a pool? I don't need to teach my kid how to swim because he doesn't have a pool. Well, wait a minute. He goes to the neighbor's house.
For sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so a kid needs to learn how to swim, needs to know how to handle knives, and they need to know what to do if there's a firearm. No matter if you like firearms or not. And if everybody did that, then there would be a lot less accidents.
Well, I agree with you
on
this. There's a lot of stuff that I don't, because we're married.
Well, even with my boys, I've said to them, I said, guys, I will teach you. It's my God-given responsibility to teach you about firearms and how to handle them safely. But it is up to you to choose. One day I will own firearms or I will not own firearms. That is perfectly your choice. I will not pressure you, but it's my job to teach you.
Yes. Amen.
And then
That's
also,
awesome.
I got 3 little A-type personalities as well. So, I've taught them as well, if they ever went, like especially in South Africa, if they went in and somebody had left a firearm lying around, what do you do? Stop, get everybody in a command voice out of that room, close the door and make sure, nobody goes in, call for the adult. And I said to my eldest, I said, that'll be the one time that I will back him up if he's a little bit rude to the guy.
Rude with a purpose, right?
There we go.
Yeah. My dad taught me, if you see a gun out in the middle of nowhere and no one knows who it belongs to, take it apart, clean it, put it back together, and then give it to him. So
wise words.
We were taught early how to handle and take apart guns and whatever.
For sure, yeah.
No, you're right. We have a program called Eddie Eagle. Have you heard of that? The NRA has Eddie Eagle.
Yes.
And
I've heard of it.
Basically what you described.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the main areas of concern in the training world. And so, again, looking at most things are probably universal, no matter where in the world you are. What are some of the main areas of concern?
Well, this is going to get me some hate mail, I know, so just
That's
direct
okay.
it
Then
elsewhere.
people are engaged. They're mentally engaged. So I love it when
Yeah.
people disagree, because then they're like wrestling with
For
the
sure,
ideas,
yeah.
right?
It's a great question. It's, in my experience, as we discussed, the Gucci wokeness. You get guys who are civilian based, and they will arrive to a class with a battle belt on and a thigh holster. And you go, well, I don't know about you, but I don't go shopping with a thigh holster and a battle belt on. This Gucci wokeness of you've got to dress with tactical pants and you've got to wear, one of those muscle shirts to show that you've got some pecs or man boobs, whatever they want to call them that day. Or, you're working on your 6-pack cooler box in front, but you've got your cool multicam cameras on. I think that is setting people up for the entertainment. I'm coming here and I'm being entertained, and today I'm going to train with a Navy SEAL. I'm going to train with Delta Force, and they think that they're walking away and like, okay, now I'm on the level of that Delta operator or the SEAL, etc. And all you've done is you've entertained yourself. For me, I walk around in a pair of jeans. Even in South Africa, the way I rocked up to a class is pretty much how I went to church, how I went to the shops. Jeans, okay, it would be a light concealment garment. I'd have the same ammunition on me, same amount of magazines, same blades. Everything would be the same. Nothing changed, because also in a high stress situation, I don't have time to go, oh, wait, today I'm carrying small of back, or in my ankle holster, or in a groin holster, or wherever, it's under my arm. It's in the same place all the time. I don't have to think where my defensive firearm was. So yeah, I think that's, the responsibility of us instructors. It's not grasped by a huge proportion of instructors. As I say, with the entertainment value, and I saw it in South Africa hugely, because the guy doesn't have a proper curriculum. He hasn't sat down and worked through a curriculum. He's a YouTube instructor and he's got some qualification. Is that you're teaching somebody to defend their lives or a loved one's life, and that could involve a no-shoot situation, let's rather get out of here, and it can cost them their lives and stuff. And that's the responsibility of an instructor, a firearms instructor, or a self-defense instructor, is also saying to him, there's a time and a place for everything. That's Ecclesiastes. And it's time to actually bug out. I say to my clients, I've in Africa, I've survived about 1,000 gun battles. Ask me why. How?
Why? How?
Because I was never there. I don't do dumb things.
Yes.
I don't walk through the bad areas with a stupid banner. I dress like the gray man. I don't engage with gangsters. I don't go cause trouble.
Yes.
That's how you avoid it, and that's how you actually live. It's a wonderful thing. But you know what? That's not Gucci cool. It's, that's how you freaking blend in, buddy. So, in all my books, I've got, situational spatial awareness, which, we learned in VIP protection. And then the holy of holies is profiling, and I say to my clients, you profile the hell out of everybody. If you don't like somebody, you just don't like their look, change direction, tell them to back off, use your voice. I've done that over a gas station court. Where the guy was approaching me and I used my voice, and it was a command voice. And what did everybody do? They just turned their heads to him. And suddenly he was just, he just walked away. Now, I don't know if he had evil intent. I don't know.
But you didn't harm him by raising your voice for a moment.
I probably offended him. There's probably a court case in South Africa against me because yeah.
Probably, right? Because
more than likely, but
offended about everything these days.
That's right. That's the scary thing about people with firearms, is that would they have made that extra step that would get them into a danger zone, where if they didn't have a firearm, or if they're trained properly, know that this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
This just, just a couple of days ago, a guy approached me and same thing. And it's like, it's not worth it. Just walk away. And I just walked away, and he didn't come after me. And that's a good thing, because then it would have got ugly. But that's kind of what we have to do as responsible firearm owner. We have to know, just because we have a firearm doesn't mean that we need to.
Well, I think 99.99999% of firearms owners understand that. And that is why, that saying is so true, that an armed society tends to be a polite
society. Yeah. Look, I mean, I wrote a book, Self-Defense on the Law. It's with a detective friend of mine from South Africa. But it's based on South African law. And, this is based on forensic science, and after you've shot the bad guy, now what happens under law? What are the police procedures? What's going to be asked of you? And you know what? We marketed it to companies and civilians and that, and we got zero response, because it's not Gucci cool. Because everybody wants to dive around and stand. I'm sorry, I'll be controversial now in the ridiculous cat stance, and not carry one up in the chamber and do arms like this figurine. It's just utter rubbish, but it looks cool, and they want to, shut around and have a tactical epileptic fit, sharp. It's just stupid. And we've got a lot of that in South Africa. I won't mention their names, but there's a lot of stupidity, and the guys flock to classes like that because it's Gucci cool. And that's, it's going to cost people their lives, and it is costing farmers their lives. It's going, the mindset is so incredibly important. And it's half your battle already won. I say, if I can avoid it, or then next step is use my voice and a command voice. Or the vets, as we know, our drill instructors, they could project their voice. You do that. Okay. What you're also doing is you're setting yourself up for success for, if it should progress further to a lethal shooting, for your court. Well, Your Honor, I engaged him when he was 30 feet away with a voice. Everybody could hear. Yes, clearly. I said, stop, back off. Please stay away from me. And he still kept on coming. So he escalated. I tried to do this. And he still, you've got to do that nowadays.
Yes. Wow. And why did you, just for the listeners that may not know, why did you say specifically farmers? Why is it costing farmers their lives?
There's a gentleman in South Africa, and he's training all the farmers. There is a genocide against whites, but particularly the farmers in South Africa, perpetrated by I call it terrorist action. So that the farmers are running off to this guy to go get trained military style, but it's just it's shocking how bad the training is, and how he's training them literally to die. That's my opinion. Looking at his training that he's putting out. Also, one of the things that I've seen him do, in the training thing, is he actually verbally abuses and assaults his clients, or he threatens them, which no professional should do. If you can't get your message across, in a professional manner, using technology or demonstrating to your clients, you have no business being an instructor. And again, a lot of instructors will not shoot in front of their clients. They're too scared because they can't shoot. There's knife guys becoming gun instructors because the knife business is kind of dipping down. And I've seen their kind of advanced class, and I've said to a friend of mine, I said, I wouldn't even allow them onto my basic class. Wow. It's shocking how bad they're doing it. But again, they're making up the curriculum. So in a basic class with ladies, they're teaching them arrest techniques. And you're going, what the hell are you doing teaching arrest techniques for? It's like, but they're all these little fillers that are entertainment.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yes.
Gerald, is the farmer thing still going on? Is it?
Yeah.
And the government, they say the government is part of it in a way. Is it?
as far as my intelligence is that I can see is yes. When you start seeing military grade cell phone jammers being carried by these terrorists, that's big money. It's big money.
So from what I understand, from what I've read, and there hasn't been much news about it lately, but the people that came and colonized, that started the farms years ago, were white people that came to South Africa, and then now the I guess the blacks want that land back. They say it's theirs, and they're coming in, they're taking it, and they're coming in military style, taking it away. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yeah. It's not. I wish it was black and white as that.
Mm-hmm.
In Rhodesia, what happened is, and obviously, I mean, this is relayed to me by my parents. We would have a black lady or gentleman arrive at the door, and we would say, "Yes, can I help you?" And they would say, "No, I'm just looking at my new house." You're like, "What are you talking about?" No. When Mugabe comes in, I'm coming to take this house.
Oh, wow.
He's going to give it to me. So there's a lot of lies perpetrated there. So it's when you start looking at the farmers and what actually happens to and we're talking 80-year-old lady, 90-year-old gentleman, they're the farm owners. The brutality. I mean, I got to a stage, honestly, where I was getting the information and I actually just went, you know what, that is too much.
Yeah.
The brutality, I won't mention it. But what happens is they have their traditional medicine, muti, it's called. So they get high on it, and it makes them bulletproof, invisible, whatever the witch doctor tells them. And what happens is they'll go in and they'll perpetrate. It's sick. It's not human what they do. If they catch the guys, what they do is they bring them back to the crime scene, and a lot of the times the muti is worn off now, and they'll get sick because they don't believe that that's what I've actually done. So the brutality is it's horrendous. So it's not necessarily that I'm going to come take your land, because now it's what's happening in America, I believe, in my personal opinion, to cover myself legally, is what's happening in South Africa. South Africa is just a lot more brutal. It's an actual, what the government has really done well is gotten the blacks to hate whites, as that that one of the lies they tell them is that we were given everything under apartheid. We just were given our homes. I can give you my mother's cell phone number now, mobile number, and she'll tell you, no, she spent 20 years paying that mortgage off and working overtime to pay the mortgage off. We didn't get anything for free. And what a lot of people don't realize is that during apartheid, 54% of the South African government budget, our taxes, went to the blacks to uplift their universities, medical, education, everything. It went for them. So but anyway, we're digressing off guns. Hey.
It's very
That's
interesting.
true.
And it is.
But I'm so glad we talked about it,
Yeah.
because I don't feel like we are hearing enough about what goes on in places like South Africa, and that whole racial divide is rearing its head in a whole new wave here in the United States.
Yeah.
And I think that if people can see, oh, maybe something like this is afoot here. And in South Africa, I think it was South Africa, you were saying it's full on communist now. Is that where you were saying?
Yeah, the South African government is fully communist. Remember, what a lot of people don't realize is that Nelson Mandela was a full-blown communist. He wrote How to Be a Good Communist in his own handwriting on Robben Island.
Nobody knows that here. I guarantee you, here in the United States,
nobody
knows that.
Yeah. So now they've gone full-blown. There is no democracy there. When we lived there, I would turn to my wife and I'd say, we've got to realize that we are second-class citizens here. We pay for everything. We pay our taxes and all that, and we don't break the law. But as whites, we are second-class citizens. And, you know, it's you know, coming to the UK now, I mean, it's, you know, for the business and networking, it's just, sorry, you're here to help me? What do you mean? You're not going to try to close me down? They're like, no, we're here to help you. It's so refreshing. It really is.
Well, when you do these racial divide plays, the only winner is a power broker like a totalitarian government. So
sure.
they're playing citizens against each other,
For sure.
not to benefit the blacks, not to benefit the whites,
No,
but to benefit the power brokers.
Right.
And that
For
I
sure,
think is
yeah.
kind of the punctuation mark that I personally was wanting to make with that particular
sure.
segue that we got off on. But coming back to the list of questions, and there's so many more, and I don't think we're going to have time for all of them. But with your ebooks, I wanted to talk about, you know, we've already mentioned a couple of the titles, but the one that specifically jumped out to me, because I think that this is another one of those things that could be universal, horribly universal. Talking about the farmers in South Africa, talking about, you know, things that other people have experienced in every place, including places in the United States. But the one that on how to survive a home invasion, I feel like there is a special sub floor of hell for people that invade, you know, that perpetrate home invasions. And so, you know, I want to talk about that. How do we empower our audience if such an evil should visit itself upon them?
Well, the book is based on South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my house in South Africa, it's you know, let's just say it was never touched.
Mm-hmm.
Never touched. And yeah, we had guys, you know, obviously bad guys, I'd profile them, walking past, but my place was never touched because it was, you know, you got to make your structure look uninviting in the sense that it doesn't have to look ugly like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
You know, using, as I say in the book, certain types of vegetation indigenous to your area. So, you know, cactus for Arizona, or various other spiky plants. You put them at the corners where your fences would line up. So you put some like a cactus there or something, which will make that area very difficult to climb over.
Mm-hmm.
Make your place uninviting in the sense that when a bad guy looks at it, and look at your house as a bad guy and go, okay, if I was going to do this, I would do this, this, and this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Bearing in mind, which is very important, is like with my house, because we had, you know, steel fencing with 7 spikes on, then into that, well, besides the cameras, the lights and all that, there was burglar bars. But the burglar bars were on the inside of the window. So they had to smash the window to get to the burglar bars. The burglar bars went into the brickwork and the lintel. So they had to, you know, a lot of work. But now it also affects my escape. So, you know, so my house had a lot of fire extinguishers for that. It's like, okay, my egress route is there. I need fire extinguishers so to help me and my family. You know, there's a lot to be done with a home that can still make it look beautiful and inviting to your friends. But so when a bad guy walks past or drives past, they go, you know what, that house over there is a little easier. And actually my neighbor did have her door kicked in and her TV stolen while she was there. So, but again, nobody touched my place.
Yes. No, I like that. And that's sort of that idea of, you know, what you talked about early on. You said you have survived, you know, thousands of incidents. Why? Because you weren't there, right?
Yeah.
It's like that situational awareness kind of part of all of this is, you know, avoiding the problem in the first place and, you know, creating a living space that discourages that. But then you've been thoughtful for yourself. Like you said, okay, if bad guys can't get in, okay, maybe now I can't get out. And now what's the plan?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love all
It's
of
also,
that.
you know, setting your house up for success as well. You know your house better than anybody. So, you know, we used to, I don't know if you get the salt lamps. It's a Himalayan salt. It's a pink lamp with a little light bulb in it.
Pink salt, yeah.
Yeah. Now I got a special deal on a whole lot of them, and I'd place them in my home, and there would a little LED bulb in there, runs all day. But I put them in all of if I came around a corner, it's in a darkened area over there, or over there, where the curtains are. Mm-hmm. It now just illuminates that area, and I can see if the curtain is over it.
Yep.
You start to learn. So you're setting yourself up for success, which is so important. And no one who came to our home would go, why is that there? Why is that there? It was just, you got a salt lamp. That's great.
Yeah.
But, we all knew, okay, that's where it was. If I came around the corner, that's what I'll be working with. Okay. And it's illuminated those areas.
Very good.
Because in South Africa, when they get quite clever, they don't bring any weapons. Their first point of ingress is your kitchen. So then they go to your drawer and they take knives out, and then they put knives, along their egress route, and then they'll kill you with that knife as well. They cut you with a knife or whatever. One thing people don't seem to realize is the bad guy doesn't give two hoots about the knife, where he cuts. Oh, you must only cut for here. Gosh, he's just going to stab. That's all. With a firearm, he doesn't care if he misses, he's just, shotgunning it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, setting your house up for success, it's critical, and learning what to do, what not to do. And, go down to your local landscape and say, hey, I need some spiky plants that still look nice, a nice little flower on it. So, I speak all about that in the book.
I love it. That is fantastic. So finally, since we have titled this episode after your event, Bullets and Bombshells UK, talk to us about that event. Where did it come from? What happens there? When does it happen?
Well, there's a Bullets and Bombshells in the United States. It's one of the many all-ladies shooting events. I actually ran one in South Africa, and we put it together at my local shooting range, and we thought, you know what, we're going to get like 30 ladies. Come on. On the day, we got 110 ladies. So I was a bit,
that's
gosh,
awesome.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
So
that's a good problem to have, right?
It was a good problem. So they had a giggle on it. So when we got here and stuff, and now getting more into firearms and with my firearms club, I said, okay, you know what? Together with my local Chamber of Commerce, let's get a Bullets and Bombshells event going, UK. It's never been done here. And we got the construction industry. They're going to be coming in, alongside and getting the ladies that work there coming to shoot. I've got my buddy who owns Well Gel London, which is a all organic nail gel. Yes, we're going to be getting it into America as well. And
very cool.
So there's going to be a nail bar for the ladies afterwards.
I love it.
We're looking at having on tap good quality coffee and tea, and a full spread meal for them. And then getting the Metropolitan Police, we're hoping to get their firearms unit, but the lady shooters to come along and participate for fun. I don't particularly believe in you came first and you came second, you're great, you suck. What I like is if you just had an absolute giggle and you shot the sand berm and missed the target, but you just were a great sport, you get a great prize as well, because it's about encouraging ladies to participate in firearms and have a positive look on proper legal firearm usage. So there is the Facebook page, Bullets and Bombshells UK. And quick plug, I would love to link up with some sponsors out of the United States for it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I think
there we go.
That's brilliant. And I love that idea that, you're taking firearms training in that sense as kind of like a self-exploration. So it's like, well, I'm going to try this thing and we'll see. And if I hit the berm instead of the paper, well, that's today. That's right now. That tells me where I am at this exact moment. And I can choose to practice this more and get better. Or maybe it's just not my thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, firearm ownership is actually quite large in the United Kingdom. And I say, with speaking to a lot of ladies here, every single one has said, yes, I'd like to come.
Well, Gerald,
nobody is. Yes.
every time you get women involved, they're social butterflies. They're going to get more women involved, and it will grow much quicker than just the old guys doing it like it used to be.
Oh yeah.
If
Well,
we'd
I'm
got
looking
women
forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually would like to have the event around the United Kingdom, and then have, satellite events, up in Ireland, Scotland, stuff like that. Why not? Why not? It's legal. It's we're supporting our local law enforcement. Yeah.
I love that. Bullets and Bombshells International, right? Because you could just go
Well, yeah.
everywhere with it.
Well, if Bullets and Bombshells US, we can chat about that. I'd love it. I'm freaking game for it.
Yeah.
I'll jump in with 2 feet and see where I land.
See where we go. That's right. That's right. Well, we've mentioned a few ways that people can follow you, but now let's concentrate it and tell folks that are listening, because we have listeners all over the world. Clearly, you found us somehow, and you're sitting in the UK right now. So tell folks, website addresses or social media pages. How can they follow all the work that you're doing?
Well, it's just I'm on Rumble under Gerald Tactical. I believe Gerald, my friend of mine mentioned the name, and then I misunderstood him, and I said Gerald, and he was like, "No, but that's the wrong word." And I looked it up. It's Welsh for old man. So I thought, what the hell? Old grumpy man tactical on Rumble. There's some videos there. My books are on schoolofarmsmedia.com. They're based in Chicago. And it's the Bullets and Bombshells, as I say, it's just the Facebook page at the moment. So it's Bullets and Bombshells UK. And I'm open to, as I say, the sponsorship. Even just as I have been chatting to some of the organizations in the States, it's just running a large event, the kind of the administration, where I'm getting the stuff from here, what we need, but is the, software that we can use to speed things up, make it more fluid. South African event was quite basic. And I think we were pretty much overwhelmed with the response. So I don't want to be that here.
No, that's like I said, a awesome problem to have. I love that you had that kind of turnout, and I do feel like you've just barely scratched the surface. But
I hope so.
This has been really awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out and taking the time to do this. And I look forward to seeing where you go with this Bullets and Bombshells over on the other side of the pond, as they say. Is that right? You're in the
yeah.
The pond being the Atlantic Ocean, but it's
well, maybe
okay.
when I'm in Texas this year, running LE classes, I'll speak to Covenant Tactical Danny and see if he'll do a Bullets and Bombshells in Texas. I think there is one in Texas already, but I don't think in Orange County.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you again so much. We
pleasure.
appreciate you, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, Gerald.
Excellent. Look forward to it. Thank you so much.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gerald.
All right. God bless. Ciao.
God bless.
Wow.
Gerald
He's been
Bailey.
around, huh?
That is really, really cool. And we get so locked into, like I said to him, here in the United States, we tend to be, kind of, I don't know, centric minded, like egocentric, like self-centric, like town centric, city centric, maybe state centric. And we lose track of what's going on in other places. And it's so important to know what other people have gone through, are going through, because it can land itself on our own front porch.
Yeah. And like they say, can't own a gun in England. Well, that's proof that you can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not free like we are, but so, there's things that by listening to this program, you learn about other countries and things. Like, what about the farmers in South Africa? Yeah. There was a little blurb on that. I think it was on one of the public broadcasting stations. They talked about that once. They had like an hour show on it, and it was horrifying. That these people, and then the big problem was that they took over these farms. These are workers that worked at the farm. They took over the farm, killed the people that lived there, or threw them out, and then didn't know how to do it. And the farms would get destroyed by whatever.
Right.
And so they were taking away. Now people couldn't eat because there's no food.
Right.
So there's so many things that we learn from watching this program.
No, it's so true. And I do encourage everybody to look those things up. I hope that some of you out there listening are arguing with us in your mind. Like, what are you talking about?
right. Oh,
What
come
kind of
on.
craziness are you?
They don't even have
This is the
forums in
year
South Africa. What are you
2020.
talking about?
This is the year
Yeah.
2021. These things are not happening. Okay. If they're not, go look for yourself, right? Um, the thing about Nelson Mandela, I've just recently myself been hearing, we always heard that he was
A
just this,
hero. That's all I know him of.
total hero guy.
But
And
why do I
maybe to
know
some
that?
people he was a hero.
Why do I know he was a hero?
Well, because you were
That's
told
what I was
and you
told. I never
didn't
did research
question
it.
it, right?
Never questioned it.
Exactly.
Well,
And, this doesn't necessarily mean that he's an evil guy or a villain,
no.
but there's a nuance there, a pretty serious and significant nuance there
Yes. Now I
that
want to know.
yeah, I had not heard as, a younger person. And so now I'm very curious and I'm arguing in my mind and I'm going to go and learn more about it and see, well, so even if he himself was not a communist, did his actions,
Right.
were they taken advantage of by the communists?
Was he a puppet?
Who are now possibly, I don't know, right? These are the things to look at. And so now is the nation better off under communism? Let's go look. Let's go check it out. Let's see.
It is to the people who control it. It's great. Communist works really well.
For the
and it's a
power
perfect
brokers.
thing to have if you're on the top.
And
But
isn't it
remember, you're not
interesting?
always on top.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how you could put communism and an equal sign and gun control? Like, because where is there communism that there is not gun control? I mean, there are places where there's gun control that there's not yet communism, but if there's communism, there is gun control.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I overstated that. And if I did, argue with me in your mind.
Yes, tell
and
us.
Go do your own research.
Tell us what
right?
happens in China. How can you own a gun in China?
All right.
How can you own a gun in China? What do you have to go through to own a AK-47 in China?
Got to be in the
Interesting.
military.
So probably have to not live in China.
All right, we have got to get on out of here. Thank you again to our new friend from half a world away. I think that's an amazing. We live in such an amazing time and place in history where we can have this conversation. It sounds like he's in the next room, and yet he's all the way over living in the UK and bringing his experience, his life experience, to our lives, right? Not just to our airwaves, not just to our ears, but into our lives. He has just shared things that exposed us to ideas and thoughts that we didn't have before he came on, and I think that's amazing. We always say that our time is our most valuable commodity, and we talk about our listeners in that way, and it's so true. And thank you so much for spending your time with us. The exact same thing is true for our guests, right? That they spend the time sharing with us their areas of experience and expertise. It's brilliant and it's a blessing, and we appreciate you. All right. So if you've missed any portion of this show, what do you want to do, Dan?
Go to Gunstreamer.
Okay. If you're going to watch it, yeah.
Yeah, but don't test me this early.
Gunstreamer, YouTube, unless we've been kicked off, and the smartphone ops lens.
Just go to our website.
And yes, you can go to our website if you want to hear the audio only version, right? Maybe you don't
want to see me.
You don't want to watch us talk. You just want to hear us talk. Go to GunFreedomRadio.com. Click the on-demand tab
and binge listens to your heart's content, darling.
Very good. If you want to see the photos and bios and all of the works that our subject matter expert guests have in their profile, go to their guest page.
That's like an encyclopedia, that website now. I mean, you think about how many people we've had on the show.
Hundreds.
We've had 320 episodes, but sometimes, we have 3, 4. I mean, we've had.
It's true.
Yeah.
God has blessed us richly with the people that he has brought into our lives. And sometimes we get to meet here, and then eventually we get to know them in real life, meet them somewhere in real life. And Gerald, being in Texas, I mean, that's only a couple states away. Maybe we'll make
go
that
to the
happen.
UK.
I love it.
I heard they have some fun stuff there,
Yeah. Like bullets and bombshells,
like slot machines
like
that you can buy. I don't know.
slot
like coin
machines in
stuff.
Texas. Oh,
I-
you with your
yeah.
coin op stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. He does love jukeboxes and
Yeah.
slot machines.
So I want to go there and see what they got.
Pinball games. So
And I want some fish and chips.
and fish and chips
Yeah, fish and chips.
in
yeah.
Texas.
No, Florida. I mean, UK.
Okay, UK.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting out of here.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Until next time, please pray for our nation.
Yes.
Pray for the world.
Yeah, all the
right?
nations.
Pray for Gerald's nation. Pray for South Africa. Pray for, where else did he say? Rhodesia, the places he's come from. My goodness. Pray for
California.
the
All the other countries,
the
California,
leaders.
Washington State,
Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah. Just pray for them.
Yeah, DC. Anyway, pray for the people who are in positions of leadership, even the ones you don't like, maybe especially the ones you don't like. Be good to each other.